Tears stream down battle-scarred cheeks as a U.S. captain reads her own obituary. The husband who promised to wait now collects her $10 million insurance policy. After surviving bomb blast attacks and saving wounded soldiers, she faces her deadliest mission, walking into her own funeral. The eulogy stops mid-sentence as gasps erupt. The dead have returned with handcuffs and justice. In the sweltering heat of Beacon, New York, a mysterious figure dressed in black sat alone at Riverwind's Cafe, her trembling hands holding the Beacon Daily newspaper. Through dark sunglasses, Captain Sarah Mitchell, a decorated war hero, survivor of 3 brutal Afghanistan tours, read her own obituary while watching her flag-draped coffin being carried across the street to Riverside Cemetery. Captain Sarah Mitchell, killed in action on home soil, the headline read. Tears of raw betrayal streamed down her battle-scarred face as she watched the man she had trusted with her life for 15 years, the man who had tried to end that life, accepting condolences with rehearsed grief, an American flag clutched dramatically in his hands. That flag represented everything she had bled for. The shrapnel still embedded in her left shoulder from the bomb blast that nearly downed her Black Hawk military helicopter. The 3 soldiers she'd carried on her back through enemy fire when their transport was ambushed. The nightmares that still woke her screaming, reliving the moments when 19 of her brothers and sisters in arms didn't make it home. She had survived all that, but she hadn't seen the enemy sleeping beside her. The brave captain met her husband at Walter Reed Military Medical Center, where she was recovering from her first combat injury. Eric had been volunteering, reading to wounded warriors. His gentle voice and apparent compassion had been her anchor during those dark days of recovery. Their courtship was a whirlwind of romantic dinners, surprise weekend getaways, and long walks by the Hudson River. When he proposed after just 8 months, Sarah believed she had found her soulmate, a civilian who understood and honored her military commitment. Their wedding, attended by her entire unit, had seemed like the beginning of her happily ever after, the reward for her sacrifice. "I'll wait for you," her husband promised before each deployment, pressing his lips to her forehead. "Just come back to me." But behind his tender words, a sinister plan had been forming. As shadows lengthened across a battlefield, so too did the darkness in Eric's heart grow with each medal pinned to his wife's chest. With each promotion Sarah earned, from lieutenant to captain, her military benefits increased. The numbers in their bank account climbed higher and higher. Her combat pay accumulated in neat stacks of paper statements her devious husband would study late into the night when he thought she was asleep. Her life insurance policy, now worth over $10 million, listed her beloved husband as the sole beneficiary. The policy document sat in their safe, its innocent pages holding no warning of the evil they would inspire. Little did the innocent wife know that her promotions and life insurance was about to change her life forever. And then came the final deployment, the one that changed everything. Captain Mitchell returned home a different woman, her body bearing new scars, her uniform adorned with a purple heart and a bronze star. The substantial disability payment that followed came after her helicopter took direct fire during a high-risk extraction. The Taliban had surrounded them, bullets ripping through metal as she held steady at the controls. 3 young soldiers lived because she'd refused to abandon them under heavy enemy fire, hovering in the kill zone until every wounded warrior was rescued. While the entire nation called her a hero, her face splashed across newspapers, her story told on morning shows, her devious husband saw only dollar signs where her medals hung. And so his heart turned cold and calculating as he began plotting evil against the woman who had shared his bed for over 14 years. The same hands that had once caressed her scars now secretly researched undetectable poisons and car accidents that looked natural. The same eyes that had wept when she was deployed now coldly measured how much her death was worth. The innocent wife first noticed something was wrong when her service pistol disappeared from its lockbox. Must have misplaced it," her husband said, though she knew no military officer would misplace their weapon. Then her medication started making her inexplicably drowsy. Her combat medals also vanished one by one, probably packed away somewhere. One fateful morning, the unsuspecting wife found her husband underneath her car, supposedly checking the oil before her long drive to testify at a military tribunal. Her battle-honed instincts, the same ones that had detected hidden IEDs and enemy ambushes, screamed danger. That night, she slipped a sleeping pill into her husband's wine to investigate her gut feeling. While he slept, she checked her car with the tactical flashlight she'd carried through 3 war zones. The brake lines had been partially severed, a clean, deliberate cut that would cause catastrophic failure after approximately 20 miles of driving. "This is Captain Mitchell," she whispered into her secure phone line at 3 a.m., contacting her former unit commander. "Fobar situation, domestic, need immediate tactical assistance." The response was immediate. Within hours, a covert team of military intelligence operatives, many of whom owed their lives to Sarah's courage under fire, assembled at a secure location. The mission: expose the enemy within, the enemy sleeping beside her. Operation Karma to be executed with military precision. Sarah needed irrefutable evidence that would guarantee her devious husband's conviction. That meant letting him believe his plan had succeeded. Operation Karma unfolded at dawn on a deserted mountain road. Traffic cameras captured Sarah's blue sedan as she drove down the streets. Once she was at a hidden service road, she slipped out. The empty car continued remotely controlled. The explosion was precisely timed. Sarah's sedan erupted into flames as it plunged down a steep ravine, leaving only twisted metal and strategic evidence behind. Among the wreckage, investigators found the crucial dental fragment, a wisdom tooth Sarah had saved from her recent extraction. The county medical examiner, a former Navy corpsman who had served with Sarah in Afghanistan, examined the scene and signed the death certificate with grim determination. "Captain Sarah Mitchell, deceased," he wrote, knowing the deception served justice. Her husband received the notification with Oscar-worthy devastation. By sunrise, he had called the insurance company. By sunset, he had transferred funds to offshore accounts traced by military cybersecurity experts. Within 48 hours, he had contacted a realtor about selling their home and booked a one-way ticket to the Cayman Islands. On the day of the funeral, Sarah watched from across the street as the full military honors ceremony unfolded. The 21-gun salute that should have marked a hero's true passing instead punctuated the most elaborate trap she had ever set. The minister spoke about sacrifice and service. Her husband, dressed impeccably in mourning black, dabbed at dry eyes with a handkerchief. He approached the microphone for his eulogy, his voice artificially breaking at practiced intervals. "Sarah was my everything," he declared to the gathered mourners, many in military dress uniforms. "My hero. I've lost." But before he could finish his sentence, something unexpected happened. A commanding voice cut through the cemetery silence.
"You're out of your mind if you thought you'd get away with this."
Sarah's voice echoed as she removed her sunglasses and strode through the gates. The crowd erupted in gasps and cries. A colonel dropped his service cap. 3 junior officers instinctively snapped to attention. Her husband's face contorted in pure horror, his carefully constructed world collapsing in an instant. Behind Sarah marched a formation of FBI agents and military police, moving with the synchronized precision of a combat unit. "That's impossible," Eric stammered, backing into the flag-draped empty coffin. "You're dead." "I've survived worse than you," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the steel forged in combat zones. "Men with better weapons and better plans have tried to kill me." Eric lunged toward her in blind panic, his final mistake. 2 decorated veterans who had served under Sarah's command intercepted him before he took 3 steps. As the handcuffs clicked around his wrists, his legs gave way and he crumpled to the ground, soiling the impeccable suit he'd bought with her combat pay. 9 weeks later, in a courtroom filled with uniformed military personnel, Sarah testified. The judge, a former officer, reviewed the overwhelming evidence: the tampered brake lines, the offshore accounts, the poisoning attempts, the weapons theft, the life insurance policies. In my 20 years on the bench, I have never seen such calculated betrayal, the judge declared, staring down at Eric with undisguised contempt. While Captain Mitchell risked her life for this nation, you plotted to end hers for financial gain. The sentence was delivered with the finality of a court-martial: life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Today, Eric Mitchell sits alone in his 4x4 cell, dressed in prison orange that cannot be mistaken for a hero's uniform. Through his tiny window, he sometimes glimpses military aircraft conducting training exercises, a cruel reminder of the woman whose dedication he betrayed and whose resilience he underestimated. The karmic justice is poetic. While Sarah continues to serve her country, training the next generation of combat pilots, Eric serves time. Her name appears in military textbooks studying battlefield courage. His appears in case studies about domestic treachery. Every night, as lights out signals the end of another empty day, regret is Eric's only companion, a life sentence more punishing than any court could impose.